galaxy are you from? You name it.
So many questions. Holy crap. Well, listen, I have said this forever that Jar Jar is my favorite character. I have said it when it wasn't cool to say it. I have said it, I mean, I feel like now I've said it so much that it was like a spoiler. But yeah, it's, I would just want to be Jar Jar at all times. I respect that. I'm sorry, I can't get comfortable. I'm so sorry. Just give me a second.
Woo! Take it off! Yeah!
All right. Okay. I'm good now. Thanks. Right.
I would have to choose Darth Maul. I would love him. Such a badass. And I think Ryan would be Baby Yoda. A little
We need to
crazy.
get him a crown.
Excellent answers all around. All right, Katee, I'm going to go a little deep with this one because I've always been really curious about the Bo-Katan team relationship. In terms of the information that we don't actually see in any of the shows thus far, have you ever given much thought to why they grew up and pursued such different paths in life?
I have, yeah, and Dave and I have talked about it a lot. I think that it is a situation where you have her family ruled, like that was the thing. I think when you have children, when you have an older child that's going to rule, the younger child is like, well, what do I do? And you become something else. And so Bo became, as many Mandalorians, a warrior. That was what she did. So her sister was raised to be government, and she was raised to be a warrior. And so that there's no real, I don't think any thought went into it from her parents' perspective. It was just birth order. And so that's what Dave and I spoke about at length. So yeah, and there's a lot more to that story too that I feel in my head that we've talked about that goes into their relationship and sort of her relationship with her father and her relationship with Susan as well. So I don't know, maybe one day we'll get to see it.
I'm digging a little bit of backstory. We're getting added to the equation through Mandalorian Season 3 and 2. We're very well done in that respect. Mercedes, can you please tell us absolutely everything about, out of the blue, hearing that not only did Jon Favreau want you in The Mandalorian, but he also wanted to write a role specifically for you, which is incredible.
So crazy. My first ever experience in Hollywood is The Mandalorian. And Jon Favreau himself discovered me by watching me on an interview on Hot Ones on YouTube about eating the spiciest hot sauces in all over the world. So hot that the last 4 you can't even taste anything because your tongue is so burnt. I don't even understand how people even create things that hot. Like, you have to sign waivers to even, yes, you have to sign a waiver because you can't possibly die. So he saw me on that. He said he loved me on the show, and I was just like, really? Just for eating chicken wings? And he had one of his people slide into my Instagram DMs and say we would love to cast you in a Disney show. I had no idea what it was until maybe months later my agent called and was like, do you know who Jon Favreau is? And I was like, Jon Favreau? Jon Favreau who? So I had to go on Google, I'm like, oh my God, the Jon Favreau you're talking about? He's like, yes, hurry up home because he's going to call you in an hour. I get a little ring, but it wasn't a phone call, it was a FaceTime. I answered the FaceTime, and it was Jon freaking Favreau. And he's just like, hi, how are you, Mercedes? I'm a big fan. I am writing a show called The Mandalorian, and I would love to write a role for you in it. What has he done? I'm not sure what the role entails, but somehow I just want to write a role for you. Let me know your schedule, and let's make it work. And now, here I am, the Night Owl, with Bo, killing it. It was such a dream come true. I still sometimes can't believe that was real when it happened, but man, you never know what's going to happen in life, and it totally changed my life for the greatest thing ever. It's so cool to be a part of The Mandalorian.
I feel like this might already be evident, but I can be a little bit of a backstory nerd when someone has such screen presence and I want to know everything about their character. So even if it's something we don't see or hear about in your episodes of Mandalorian, is there anything you came up with about her backstory that we can feel informing your performance and the way she carries herself?
I feel like I just took a lot of myself and just turned it up. I took a lot of my wrestling character of being a boss and a badass and someone that, that didn't take no for an answer and that could stand up to any man that wanted to step in her way and take him down and then, throw him with a tornado DDT, save babies, I wanted her to be who I thought I am, just a badass. And going in with Katee, I'm like, I gotta step in my game. Because she is a legit badass. And, I think just together as a group of night owls, we just had to show that we can do it better.
Women in acts.
And just acts.
Just
he's a nice
bunch of
legend.
women in acts.
I'll follow up on that with a question for both of you. Hopefully I can phrase it because I want you to give me the opposite answer. So you brought up Katee's influence on set. Veteran, very experienced, it's your first time. What is something she did for you on set that made you feel like, you were safe, you were there, you were taken care of? But then I want the opposite for you, Katee. What is something Mercedes is a new force in this industry? What's something that she brought to the set that, I don't know, maybe surprised you and you found refreshing?
I mean, any question I had, Katee was right there. Anything I ever messed up on, she was right there. She helped me in every little bit because I was so nervous. This is Star Wars. You don't want to mess up and be the one that's like, okay, we have to do it again. It's like, why? Because of me? I'm like, ah. But Katee was there every step of the way. Before scenes, we would go around in a circle and just practice our lines just to make me feel comfortable. I mean, I didn't have many lines, but the lines that I had, she would take the time to rehearse with me. And I just learned so much just by standing back and just watching her. And her going up to David and John and just being like, hey, I think my character would act like this, or walk like this, or have a stance like this, or just little things like that just empowered me so much to bring her presence, Katee's presence, to how I talk to people in WWE. And like, I have to remember who my character is and then what made me want to be her. And you have to remind yourself when you put so much work and time and effort and energy into something that you helped create to make it alive for you, and you feel it, you have to remind her it's here. And that reminded me so much of being a boss again in wrestling that after sets of The Mandalorian, I had to fly over to TV to WWE. I'm just like, man, I got this. This is even easier this time around, and I feel more freer of playing my character even better after being in wrestling for 10 years. So I've learned not just in Star Wars, but also bringing it into the WWE form too.
So for me, I think sometimes when you've been doing this for a long time, you get so caught up in the business aspect of it, and that it's your job every day, and you show up and you do your job, and you make sure that you're pleasant to work with, and you're on time, and you're memorized, and you check the boxes, you know what I mean? I think sometimes when you work with someone who is new to the business, like with Mercedes, it forces you, or forced me working with her to remember how cool it was, because I was so just focused on like being everything I needed to be, that I didn't step back yet and go, oh shit, this is amazing. And I think that being around her, it allowed me to do that more. It allowed me to do it more because it was almost like seeing it through different eyes. And not to say that I was like, jaded, but 25 years, you get pretty jaded.
I love hearing about the positive influences we can have on each other on these challenging productions. Is there any particular, corner of her life or quality of hers that you only first realized was there when you got to physically play the character on set that maybe caught you by surprise?
I think so much of Bo caught me by surprise because I think when you're doing the voice of a character, it's a completely different medium. My job when I was playing animated Bo was to deliver the sound that Dave wanted. So I didn't feel like I had much ownership over the character because it was really about what he wanted her to sound like. And so when I started playing her in live action, every new little thing that I was learning about her was new for me. And I won't give spoilers, I promise. I'm so good at lying to y'all, you would know anyway. But there's some moments coming up that really struck me. really struck me when she's talking about some stuff. And it caught me off guard. And I knew that it would, and I was prepared for it. And so I talked to John and talked to Dave and Rick, who was amazing, who directed the episodes. And I was like, this is where I'm thinking about going, because I think it's gonna happen. And they were like, okay. I thought I was gonna have to convince them. They were like, go where you want. Let's see what happens. I'm like, okay. So emotionally, I was able to bring so much of her backstory into this season, which is really beautiful.
My head is exploding with follow-up questions because you just brought up Rick. I want to
answer any of them.
No, but this one I think you can answer. I would love to hear about working with Bryce Dallas Howard in particular because, yeah, we can definitely applaud for her. She's a force in this industry in general, and in particular, it just really thrills me to no end to see her flourishing as a director. So what is something about getting the opportunity to work with her as an actress, director, and a leader that makes her stand out from other directors you work with?
She's a phenomenal director, a phenomenal actress as well, but phenomenal director. And she knows what she wants, and she literally will make you do it over and over and over again. Where I was like, I'm done. God, she's boring. And she'll make you do it until she's confident that she's got exactly what she wants. I mean, she literally made Bo and Mando go up and down a set of stairs. And I'm not talking like 5 steps. I'm talking like this set of stairs, like 30 steps. I think it was 28, we might have counted it. We climbed to the top of the Empire State Building that day. It was insane. We must have gone up and down those stairs 40 times, 50 times. I mean, I don't remember. It was a joke at one point because I was like, wow, my butt is gonna hurt so bad tomorrow. And it did, it did. My calves were so tight that they had to get a masseuse to come in to release my calves because they were so tight, I literally couldn't walk. I was like, there were so many knots in them. But she was going for, she wanted something so specific. And, when you've got multiple people in a scene and, multiple droids in a scene and things can happen and go wrong, you have to keep going until you get exactly what you want. And that was a good butt day. It was a good butt day.
I feel like it doesn't matter how much exercise you do, stairs are always a challenge.
They are. What was the question? Bryce.
Right here. Working with Bryce was absolutely fantastic. Before even shooting The Mandalorian, she brought me in just to let me just walk around the studio and walk around the set and just teach me everything. Teach me about prevas and just meeting the makeup artists and the cast and the crew and the costume designers. And she was just legit taking me by my hand and being like, let me show you the way. And I was like, wow, this is so crazy to have a woman who truly cares. She wants her episodes to be the best episodes, and I think her episodes are always the best. She is just so fantastic, and with any question, she's just right there with an answer. And she wants you to do it in so many different ways and so many different emotions, because she has so many different directions of what she wants the character to feel. I think Bryce is just hands down just one of the best, and her smile and her laugh is just so
the cutest laugh I've ever heard in my entire life.
It makes you so happy to go to work and just seeing her. I would love to work with her forever. She's the greatest.
I want to see her do more behind the lens, anything she wants. Mercedes, another question for you about a specific thing. I want to hear about the fight between you and Boba Fett. When you have the professional wrestling background, does a fight like that just come second nature to you, or is there anything you have to be adjusting to be acting for the camera in that sense?
It kind of came second nature to me. When they called me in for that film day, I was like, yes, finally something I know I'm 100% good at. And we went over rehearsals the day before, and they were like, maybe you can just do this and take his head and do a headlock takeover. I was like, a headlock takeover? I'm a wrestler. I can do something better than that. So I took the guy by his head, I ran up the wall, and I'm like, how about this? John came out of the back, he's like, that's what we're gonna do, that's what we're gonna shoot. That's the move, that's what I'm talking about. And I just felt so good. It gave me like such good confidence. Like the decision that I made to stand up saying like, I have a better move for you is something that's gonna be part of the Mandalorian and Star Wars forever. And it's so cool to have wrestling fans come up to me and it's like, did you just do a tornado DDT? Damn right I did. Hell yeah. So that was like such a dream come true. That was really, really cool.
When I saw Mercedes run up a wall, I literally thought to myself, I am not tough at all. Can I get my stunt double, please? Yeah, no.
So much so like,
No.
John was like, oh, so for the other scenes, he's like, so you want to do this, you want to jump off that? I was like, no, actually I'm good. Well, we can use the double to do the other stuff. After that CPU, he wanted me to do everything. I'm like, I still gotta wrestle weekly, John.
This is one of the things that you learn in this industry, and you learn it very quickly. The first time you have to like do something that hurts is fine. But then you do it 30 times and you're like, oh my God,
Never mind.
no, it's not. no. Yeah.
Times, like even when I watch someone do an eating scene, it gives me a little anxiety because I know you've had to do it dozens and dozens of times.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's you learn very quickly to like, there's certain things that I know I won't do anymore. I won't do falls. Like I do not do falls. You could tweak your back to a point where you can't walk for 3 weeks. It's just not, yeah.
I respect drawing the line after all that experience, Before I toss it to the audience, I have one, this is like a question just for me. I feel a little selfish asking this, but I love Star Wars. I love all genres, all storytelling. I love horror. You were in an iconic horror franchise with Halloween Resurrection, and I need to know if you had the opportunity to join any other iconic slasher franchise, what would you pick and why?
Slasher franchise.
Specifically slasher. Slasher is my favorite subgenre within horror.
I don't like scary movies. You guys, our world is scary enough.
Amen, I'm with you.
Like, have you looked outside? It's scary. Like, I need like a good rom-com with like J-Lo. Okay, I need J-Lo pretending she's like a working woman and like, making I need J-Lo being a wedding planner. I need J-Lo and Gigi, or whatever it's called. Gigi? I don't even know what it's called. I need J-Lo like that more than I need like Saw. When I go to bed, I want to see J-Lo. I don't want to see like the clown
Can
from
you
Saw.
see a Katee and J-Lo movie? Yeah?
I just want J-Lo.
I understand that just to throw it out into the world, I'd love to see you reunite with Mike Flanagan of all people.
I would love to, but to me that's not slasher.
Yes.
Like, Mike Flanagan to me is like psychological intelligence thriller, and I would love that too.
For anyone who hasn't seen Oculus, after this, go home and watch Oculus. All right, let's start on this side over here. What is your name and your question?
Hi, my name's Anatoly, and I have a question for Katie. So, oh crap, I just forgot.
I know.
It's
a long time standing on line. I'm so sorry. It'll come to you.
As our MC said, you played many wonderful roles, and I'd like to ask you which of these 2 roles did you enjoy portraying more? Recently, Bo-Katan, or I hope it's not a long time ago, Captain Kara Thrace.
So, in my mind, they are completely different. Kara was angsty and like had a problem with authority. She was exhausting to play because she was just like you never knew what she was going to do. Bo is incredibly calculated. Like she is smart and she's so patient to sit there with her mouth shut sometimes and just like she's just got this like ease to her. Whereas Starbuck was like a firecracker. So I love them both for very different reasons. I couldn't go back I don't think I could play Starbuck anymore. I think that I wouldn't be right for her anymore, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because I was 22 when I was playing her. It was a long time ago, which is so weird. So I would say Bo. It's more fun.
All right, thank you so much, and so say we all.
Thank you for your question. Who do we have over here now?
Hello, my name is Daniel, and my question is also for Katee. You've had the unique experience now of playing Bo-Katan under several different directors, even now in the same season. What kind of effect does that have on the creative process and in the way that you portray that character?
So every time you work with a new director, at least for myself anyway, I find that every director imparts a piece of them, and they almost imprint on the character a little bit, if you allow them to. Because what you're realizing is that no matter what you think of your character, the director is telling you or showing you how they perceive the character. And if you know, earlier in my career, I think, maybe I would have pushed back on that and been like, no, I know better, right? But I think that as I've gotten older and more confident, actually, I sit back and I listen to how they feel, like what they think she would do in a moment, or the overarching theme of the entire season. And I always take a little piece of them along the way. So there's a little piece of every single director that's like had a hand in directing Bo this season. And I think it changes her. I think they sort of like, you know, if I allow them to take me to new places, I find different things about her along the way as well. So I love it. I love working with different directors. It's one of the most beautiful things about television, whereas in film, you work with the same director the entire time. In TV, you change every episode.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've quite a lot of directors on that, though. It wasn't fine.
They know how to pick them. All right, let's get another question from this side.
Hi, I'm Megan. First of all, Misa, love Jar Jar. Love Jar Jar. But you got to be Bo-Katan as a voice actor and also as a live actress, and so you really got to grow with this character. I feel. I gotta say, in Clone Wars, kind of was mad at Bo-Katan. But you brought a lot of depth to this character, and I really like her again. So, I guess my question is, without spoilers, and I guess, I don't know, will we be pleasantly surprised by some Mandalorians that you might meet in future encounters?
Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of Mandalorians in this show.
Okay, all right. Thank you. You both are badass, and I love people. And it's very important to see badass women. So thank you.
All right, who do we have on this side now?
Hi, my name is Joey. I do have a question for Katee, but before I do that, I just want to let the Mercedes know that you are Mr. Mondays, and that match at WrestleMania with Bianca Belair is one for the ages, and I hope you're proud of that. So you are next. And Kelly, who's staying yours at FYC, I'm glad you're here in Orlando. Now to my question, Katee, what was it like working with George Takei and Simon on The Big Bang Theory? Was that a fun episode?
I mean, I grew up watching Star Trek, so I was just like a kid in a candy store. And it was so funny. They asked if I would wear my suit on the show, and I was like, sure. They don't know that I stole it. And so I was like, okay, I mean, the cat's out of the bag. There must be like a statute of limitations on like stealing your wardrobe. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll wear it. And I get there and I meet George for the first time, and he was like, I love your suit. And I was like, thanks, they don't know I stole it. And he was like, my dear, they don't know I stole this cape either. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. It was amazing. Like, you know, comedy is not something that I get the opportunity to do a lot. And so when you work with people that are such seasoned professionals at a part of your craft that you are not as experienced with, it is such a beautiful thing to just like, you know, be led to success by them. And it was so much fun to work with them, especially with his oh my. He's just so funny. He's so simply funny. You know what I mean? Like, I have to try to be funny. He's just funny. And I love it. I love that. He's just amazing.
Thank you.
Mercedes, I'm going to take Star Wars out of the equation. Do you have a favorite film or TV franchise that would just like blow your mind if you got to join the cast of that? Ooh, that was a good call.
Did you
I
say
heard
Fast
that.
and
Fast and
Furious?
Furious.
Yeah, definitely. That's my brother's favorite franchise. I love anything foreign. I love Korean movies. So for me to be in a Korean movie is a dream come true for me. I feel like a TV franchise. I don't know. There's too many things out today. I don't even know like what's my favorite thing. Like people say, "What's your favorite show?" I don't know. I watch it in like a day and then I move on to the next, and then a month later there's something else, and then I forget what I just watched last month. It's like I don't know. There's too much, guys. There's too much. But what's that, Lucifer? Anything with a thriller. I like thrill. So like thriller something.
Kind of taking this Fast and Furious idea. I feel like we gotta will this into existence.
I feel like I would fit in that franchise really well. So yeah, let's go.
All right, let's get our next question on this side.
Hi, I'm Anna, and my question is for Mercedes. And I'm going to be that guy that asked the Sasha Banks question, so you're ready. Absolutely love you and Bailey, and totally not coincidentally, I wore my damn control shirt today, so yay. But I think my question for you is, can you tell us a little bit about your experience wrestling in Japan and how maybe it like differs from WWE or how it's the same?
Oh, it's definitely not the same. It is definitely not the same. It is so different. I mean, besides being in a whole different country with a completely different language barrier and not understanding anything, but it's so magical because wrestling is just so universal. I don't have to say any words. I feel it with my emotions and the movement when I get into the ring. But the girls over there are legit. They train twice a day, 5 days a week, and this is their livelihood. And I feel like the Japanese culture, they're very strict and very disciplined. And that's what I really love when I get to go to Japan. I'm going to go there in actually 4 days. I'm going to be there for a month again to defend this championship. It's so different. Having my match with Kyrie in February was so different. Again, with the language barrier, I was just so nervous. I'm like, are we going to be able to understand each other? I'm like, konnichiwa, that's all I know. But it's been so magical this far, so I can't wait for April to have more matches and to experience even more. I'm trying to make more history in wrestling. I feel like this is my chance to do it, and I'm ready for more.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Hi, Katie and Mercedes. I'm Brandon. This question is for both of you guys. So I actually asked Ashley this too. So I'm a young actor, I'm 22 years old, and I have a question in terms of like preparation. I think it'd be interesting to get someone who has tons of experience and someone who just started. What's the number one thing when it comes to preparation when you're preparing a character that you always want to do? Is it like, what does your character want, or like the relationship? For you, what is the most important thing?
Memorization. It is, because it's a skill. Just memorize. You have to memorize, so you're so memorized that you get lost in the dialogue. So that's just over-prepared. You over-prepare so you can be spontaneous, as weird as that seems. Because the problem is if you're not memorized, you can't be spontaneous because you're just trying to figure out what your dialogue is. So you're not listening, you're not paying attention, you're not actively in the scene. And I cannot tell you how many professional actors I've worked with who do not memorize their experience, because inevitably what will happen is they'll put the camera on you first because you're prepared. You'll do your dialogue, and then by the time they turn the camera on them, they finally memorize their dialogue and they change the entire scene because now they're finally getting lost in their character. It's the most aggravating thing, and so I wish that everyone would just like memorize your dialogue and then show up on time. That's it. Because I can't tell you how to act, right? You'll figure that out. You'll figure out what your style is. You'll figure out, like, am I a method actor, or do I wing it and fly by the seat of my pants? You will figure that out for yourself. But what I can tell you is if you're prepared, if you're on time, if you appreciate being there every single day, then you will want to work with you again. 100%.
You come up with over the year to help you with memorization? Because I know you find a way to do it that works for you, and maybe it can work for someone else out there.
So I used to be a chain smoker, as weird as that seems, I know, because I'm super healthy. I smoked for many, many, many years, and I would sit out like on my bed, which is bad. If there are children in here, do not smoke. It is literally the hardest thing to quit in the world. But I would sit and I would just like smoke and memorize dialogue. So I was doing something mindless and also doing something I had to do. And when I quit smoking, all of a sudden I realized I couldn't memorize dialogue anymore because I didn't know what to do. So I started walking the neighborhood with my script. And so now I get on a treadmill with my script and I just walk and memorize. Just stare at it over and over and over again. People think I'm crazy when I do it in the neighborhood though, because I'm talking to myself. It's really terrifying. But I just walk through the city now with my script, and I memorize that way.
How do you do it? Do you do it in sections? Do you remember like the whole paragraphs or page by page?
I break down the paragraphs first. I break down the big ones. Like I will go through and I'll be like, this is the hard one. This is the bulk of the scene. This is what needs to be memorized first. Because if it's well written, once you've memorized the big pieces, the rest of it comes very easily. Yeah.
Mercedes, how about you with the main question? Something you like to prioritize when getting into your character?
I like to think of my character's backstory, and sometimes directors and producers won't tell you no backstory, so you have to kind of create it yourself. And when you can create a backstory for your character, it just makes you feel more comfortable as your character as well. It's like, okay, they might not know it, but at least I know what I did when I was 5 years old. I know what happened to me when I was 10. I know how this person made me feel when I was 13 and my mom made me cry like this. Like, you have to create such a backstory that this character is you and nobody but you. Only you can play it. So that's what I try to do when I get things. I'm like, okay, what do I want my character to be? What's her backstory? What's everything that I possibly know about her that nobody else can? And that's just what you kind of have to do.
All right, let's jump back to this side. What is your question?
Hi, my name is Dan, and my question is for Katee. I saw a picture of you with your dad on the set of Star Wars, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what that meant to you and your dad and both of your histories with Star Wars.
I think it's the first time my dad was like, oh, she made it. Like, I do. I think it was the first time when he was like, are you sure you don't need a fiver? Do you need help with your rent? Like, I think it was like literally the first time. My dad raised me on science fiction and Star Wars and action. You know, I notoriously say I wanted to be Bruce Willis when I was growing up. I wanted to save the Nakatomi building. You know, like put on my dad's like white tanks and like crawl through the house. So to be a part of this, because my dad wasn't aware of the animated show. You know, like my dad is in, you know, his mid-70s and he didn't watch the animated show. I don't even think he knew it existed. And so he knew that I was doing it, but he in his mind thought it was like a cartoon for kids, which it is not. And so when we got to come to work, I think that it was like legitimately the first time I joke about, you know, him thinking he had to support me, but like, it was legitimately the first time in my entire career where I saw just awe on my dad's face. And he's been to set with me many times. But it was like, he was just like awestruck. And it was such a cool moment for me because I felt so proud of myself. You know, like I was so proud of myself you know, everything I ever did my entire life was to like get my dad's attention. And it was like, you know, it only took 42 years. And just like, he's always been there. But like that was like the cool moment where I was like, oh my God, I finally saw it, you know? I finally saw that like wow moment. It was really cool.
Thank you for your question. Who do we have over here now?
Hello there. My name is Rocky, and I just wanted to say that the interviewer is stellar and already asked all of my questions. So I have a super fun one for both of you. If you could inject like any sort of culture tidbit to the Mandalorian culture as a whole, what would you put into it? Like all Mandalorians do.
Wow. That is a hard question.
question, that's a phenomenal question. You know, I think this season, because we get to see more Mandalorians, these questions came up. You know, what does the Mandalorian culture look like? What are some of the things that they do? Like, how do they shake hands? Like, the little things that you just don't think about, right? And so to see that they've already pulled pieces in. Yeah, no, I think that everything I say right now is a spoiler. So I'm just gonna stop talking. That was literally such a phenomenal question. Thank you. I adore it so much.
Thumbs up for that one all around. Thank you for it. All right, we're gonna come back to this side. I think we can get, if we keep it to one question each, I think we can clear both lines.
It's never happened at a convention before that I've been at. There's always people in line. I'll stop talking so we'll get to
I'm Charlie, and I had a question for Katee. How was it to play yourself on the Cleveland show?
When did I do that? That was a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
It was a phenomenal experience. And I hope they hire me again for their next project.
All right, who we got over here now?
Hi, I'm Jace. I'm sorry, I gotta take a second. I'm very starstruck right now. Like, Katee, we just watched Riddick, and you were a badass woman in that, just like Laura. Mercedes, you know, I've seen you wrestle personally, and I'm like, yeah, this girl, she's got it, so. You know, quickly with my question, Star Wars is obviously a very big series, you know. A lot of people, a lot of generations have come together, so because you got great characters, what has kind of brought you both to like, oh my God, I can be a part of this series? Like, where did that begin when you first started being Bo-Katan and when you played as a Mandalorian yourself?
You mean how did it first come to me?
Yeah.
So I got a phone call from, I think my agency at the time, asking if I wanted to be the voice of a female Mandalorian warrior on this show. And I was like, yeah. I mean, are you kidding? Like, I've been telling you guys forever that I would be a rock if they called. So this was like a really cool moment. And Filoni told this story that they were looking for someone for this, and he knew the guys from Robot Chicken. And so he called them to ask them what I was like to work with, and thankfully I'm not a bitch all the time. And no, but seriously, like they said that I was easy to work with, and so that's why I got the job. And he had watched Battlestar, Dave had. So it was like the first episode or the first season of Battlestar had aired. And so yeah, it was yay.
Your hot wings. Hot wings. Oh yeah, spicy wings. Stop me.
I could never do that show.
You should try it.
Oh my God.
Oh, you have sriracha at least?
Oh yeah, I could do that.
Okay, one down, 14 more to go.
My daughter goes into the fridge. I don't know if anybody has like a toddler that's just started walking, but she has figured out how to open the fridge, and her favorite thing to take out is the Cholula. Or the sriracha. She's learned how to twist the top off, and I'll walk in and she's like sucking on it. And I will walk in, listen, she's 2 steps in front of me, like I don't take my eyes off of her. Where'd my baby go? She's right in here. She's not that far.
I'm Star
are in training. All right, last one on this side.
Thank you. Don't have to talk to me. Wish you had asked questions both of you guys. For Katee, with the baptism this season, or at least whatever it's called back in the day of the Mandalorian, I always joke that the Mandalorians are kind of like born again. Do you view that baptism more as like a initiation or kind of like an absolvement for some of the bad stuff you did back in the day?
I didn't hear the question. I'm so sorry. There's a little bit of reverb. It's not your fault. It's been the whole time. So, say again?
Or in other words, this, in the earlier season of Clone Wars, Bo-Katan kind of did some bad things. Since the recent season where Jay he went to, what was it called? When he saw the Mythosaur, it was dipped in the water, and then Bo-Katan was dipped in the water. They had like limited significance to what they did. Do you think the character is kind of like baptized or like absolved from prior stuff she did, or do you think that some of the bad stuff she just going to come back to or kind of haunt her later on?
I'm not entirely, to be honest, I'm not entirely hearing it either.
Will you just come, will you just yell it? I'm so sorry. It's the mic.
The mics are a little,
I'm so sorry.
No, just basically the question was, your character, which I love, did some bad things at the beginning of the film.
Bad things. That's the word I said bad.
I was like, what happened? Did she do on her back?
No.
Wait, there's children here. I'm so sorry. Bad things.
Do you feel the recent thing where she was the Mythosaur was baptized and thing had no significance? Do you feel that was more like an absolvement for the character or just like an easy thing?
Makes so much more sense now. So I don't necessarily think that her seeing the Mythosaur necessarily absolves her of the bad things that she has done. But what I do believe is that from the moment that Bo lost Satine and takes full responsibility for that, I think from that moment, she has been doing everything in her power to atone for something you can't atone for. So I think that she is her own worst critic, and she blames herself for everything. And so I think that for her, if she thought the Mythosaur was in some way choosing her, she would think that it was wrong and that it wasn't justified, because there's a part of Bo that hates herself. But I think she had to get to this point to potentially move forward. So I don't know if it hinges on the Mythosaur as much as it hinges on her entire arc since Satine died. If that answers your question.
I'm so glad you came up and asked that
I know.
Hi there, I'm Dakota. My question is for Mercedes. Is there a particular time Michael Cole said it's boss time that was your favorite?
I think it has to be WrestleMania. That was probably the time when we really said it, because that was the first time with fans again after the pandemic, and getting to main event WrestleMania and just hearing them say it like that, like it can't be higher or bigger than that one. So that was the biggest, it's boss time right there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That's great questions to all of you for being here. Katee, Mercedes, Ryan, thank you for your time today and for sharing some of your stories with us.